Selva, can you hear me? Selva, you're a co-host now. You can unmute.
Let me use the
Hi,
chat
Pankaj,
box.
good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
So, good evening, Pankaj. Good evening, Salva.
Pankaj, can you hear me?
Yes, Selva, I can hear you. We'll just wait for about 5 minutes for people to join.
Pankaj, I'm not able to hear you.
Now, can you hear me? Hello? Selva, can you hear me now?
I think there's some issue. I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. I think so. Pankaj is audible to us. Maybe do you want to maybe rejoin if that works for you?
One sec.
So let me try joining again.
Yes, Salva.
Yeah.
Yes, if that works, yes. I've made you co-host again, Salva. You can try to unmute the mic and see if it's working.
Am I audible now?
You're
Yes.
audible, Selva. You were audible earlier also, but can you hear us?
Can you hear us? You're audible.
Somehow I'm not able to hear your voice.
Okay. So, okay.
Okay, I changed over to the speakers. I think probably now.
Okay.
Now can you
Yeah,
hear us?
I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay, great.
Okay. Okay.
So, Selva, I was saying we'll wait for 5 minutes for more participants to join and then we'll get started. Meanwhile, Dhruv, probably we can allow the chat to be open to all the participants.
Yes, definitely. The chat is open, and a note for the workshop: if there's any questions during the workshop, please feel free to put your questions in the chat box or send them personally to either one of us. The chat is open.
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay, perfect. I think, are we good to start in a minute?
Yeah, we'll start in a minute.
All right.
All right, let's get started. So once again, welcome everyone. Dhruv, do you want me to
Uh,
just quickly
yes,
set the context?
I can get everyone started.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm audible clearly, right? Just
Yeah.
all right. Okay. So welcome to the second workshop by IBC Media and Polkadot for this week. Now, as Pankaj mentioned before, if you have missed the first one, you can check it out on our YouTube later, which was on the 5th, the first workshop. Now, today we will be discussing hands-on development using Polkadot Substrate on Rust. It is an in-depth and a hands-on session where we get a peek inside how Web3 ecosystem is built and how it all works. We have Mr. Pankaj with us here today, who is the founder of Idea Labs and the expert himself, Mr. Selvaraju, who took us through the entire journey of Web3 space with a lot of insights on decentralized systems and the Polkadot in the first session. As you know, Polkadot is our headline sponsor and we are hosting IBC Hack. We have lined up 4 hackathons leading to our main conference in January. It's a great platform for you guys to apply what you have learned in these workshops. Now, let me talk about one very important tool which is quintessential for the hackathon in Discord. It helps you guys connect with the mentors, with your fellow participants and the community. I have my colleague Deepak here with me today who will brief us on how to set up Discord and how it works. Over to you now, Deepak.
Hi, Dhruv. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Dhruv. Very good evening, everyone. I'll just take a few quick minutes here because I know everybody's time is extremely important. So, welcome to yet another exciting workshop by IBC Media. We are super excited to have you all here. My name is Deepak, and I'm here to help you with a very important tool for your hackathon journey, and that tool is Discord. So, Discord is quite amazing, to be frank. It is different than any other social media platform because of the kind of activities that you can do on it. Discord allows for more communication options than any other social media platform. And for example, I would say Discord offers voice chat and video chat in addition to text-based chat. And it has no doubt it is going to play an extremely crucial role in hackathon participants. So I would request everyone to spare to focus on what we will be going to do next. And you may be wondering, why is it so important for us? The answer is simple. IBC hackathons are challenging and highly technical in nature, which means that you will require a lot of help, and that is where Discord comes into the picture. To get help, you will need support from your hackathon mentors and from the IBC team. And Discord is the place where your mentors and IBC team is available for you 24/7 to help you every step of the way. Discord is free to use, so just a disclaimer, it has no charges involved. So let's get started. I'll show you quickly how to start. Dhruv, is my screen visible?
Yes, your screen
Yes,
is.
sir.
Yes.
Okay. So as you can see, I am on Discord platform. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So I'll just check for Discord. I already have an account, so I'll just give a background on how to create an account if you guys have not used this platform before. So as you can see, I just opened Discord on discord.com. It also has an app, so if you don't have a desktop, that shouldn't be a problem. So what you can do is open Discord in your browser. If you don't have an account, just log in. It's a simple process, like you log in any other social media platform. It's the same process. You have to verify once through your email, and once you verify, you can start using it right away. So to start using, like once you are on Discord, this is something how the screen will come. This is a test account that I created just to show how to start when you are, you are a new account on Discord. So as you can see, I have no accounts over here. So what I'll do is I'll just I'll just add a server here in Discord, like on Facebook, you add Facebook friends. On Discord, you add a server. Now, similarly, right now, what we want to do is we want to join the Discord server of IBC Media. So what I'll do is I'll click on plus, and it gives me an option over here. If you can see, have an invite already, join a server. Yes. So if you can just check the Zoom chat. Uh, Dhruv has already shared the invite link. So what you will do is you can copy from here. And if you're not able to create it right now, I would understand that. So what you can do is you can go on any of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Discord link is over there. Or you can simply tag us on any of these platforms or email us or chat with us. And if you want the link separately, then we can send it to you. We also have been mailing you to all the participants who have registered the same link. So just use this link, copy this link, and we'll click on join a server over here, and then we'll paste this link over here, right? And then we'll click join server, and here we are. So it gives a welcome message, and this is all automated. So the first thing that we would want to do is to get full access. Right now, I, as a first-time user, will not have full access to it because there's a problem of a lot of bots that join the accounts. So there is a verification process in place. So to make sure that we verify yourself and to make sure that I am able to get everything that is there, I'm able to use everything that is there on the IBC Media Discord server, I will verify myself. So to do that, uh, you will once you click on the verification option, you will jump to this verification category where you have the option to click over here. So once I click over here, I am able to, if you see a bunch of things. If I wasn't verified, I would not be able to see all of these things. I would be able to see just a few categories over here on the left, and I would not be able to see the Polkadot track or Chingari track or any other track. So once you verify, you will be able to check all of these things. So I'll just quickly in next 1 minute, I'll quickly give a glimpse of what all you can do. So because you are a hackathon participant, for most important thing for you is to get and check out the tracks support that you can get from your tracks. For example, if you have participated in the Polkadot track, you can come on this category, check out the mentors, and if you just click over here, you will see that there are a bunch of mentors from Polkadot ecosystem who are there to guide you. You will find their introductions in place, like Bruno is here, Jeff is here, and to talk to them, what you will do is you will hop onto this Polkadot Hack Impulse discussion group, and you will just write one message. Let's say I want to say that I am struggling uh, with XYZ on Polkadot track. And you can directly put the message. One of the mentors or IBC team will be there to help you and guide you with your question. If you want to raise a specific question to a mentor, then you can just put @ and tag the person. For example, in this case, I'll say Bruno. So I'll enter it. It's a simple chat process like you do the WhatsApp chat. Similarly, whatever other track you have participated on, be it Chingari track, Robonomics, IBC tracks, all of the resources, all of the help that you require is freely available to you at just a few clicks away. So what I would sincerely suggest for you guys to make full use of the technical resources that are there at your disposal. In that case, it becomes extremely important that you join the Discord. And because the competition is challenging and a lot of technical knowledge is required, you may feel that you would need expert guidance. Like Silvaraj in this case, he is guiding you with a lot of things. Similarly, on this Discord, you will find a lot of technical help that you can raise for the respective tracks. And if you are able to if there are other challenges with the hackathon ecosystem or your registration process, then you can simply just raise a ticket over here. You can create a ticket and just write down your queries, and we will respond to that. So there are numerous features. We can do a separate discussion on this. I will be uploading a video on our YouTube channel as well, and I'll be sharing with everyone. But just make sure that you create the account, you hop onto it, and I won't take much time from Silvaraj and other members over here. But I just wanted to raise this important element that is going to help you a lot in your hackathon journey. Dhruv, if my screen was all visible and there was no technical problem, then I think this is pretty much it. And I wish you all the best.
Yes, we could see your screen.
So I'll stop sharing now, Dhruv. Please carry on. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Okay. So that's pretty much it. All right. Thank you so much, Deepak, for taking us through the whole Discord process. I have put the links multiple times for people who might have joined a little later. So the link is there in the chat box. Make sure you join the Discord. And now, without any further ado, let's begin with today's workshop. So before we start, Mr. Pankaj, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thanks, Dhruv. Yeah, thanks for setting the context. And Deepak very nicely explained the whole Discord onboarding process. My recommendation to all the participants here would be to join Discord community today, because it's like 24/7 help, and help coming from the best of the mentors from Polkadot, right? So please ensure that all of you join the Discord group. We'll also have Selvaraj and other mentors also joining the Discord group. So any queries, questions which are in the workshop or beyond the workshop, all of them will be answered in Discord group, right? So with this, let me hand over the session to Selva. Selva, just one thing, since we have a short
Yeah.
session, we may, avoid the break. I think we can continue because
Okay.
we'll have to end by 8. I think students sometimes have challenges with the dinner in the mess and all that. So we'll try to
Okay.
wrap it up by 8, and we can
Yeah,
avoid
sure.
the break. And the more hands-on we can get, the better it is, Selva. So over to you. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Deepak. Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second session, wherein we are going to look into Substrate, the framework which has been built for Polkadot for building your own blockchain, or you may call it as parachains, as we saw last time. Okay. Right. So first off, let me just share my screen. Okay. So I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, Silva, we can see your screen.
Yeah. So, okay. First thing first. So what I'm going to show you today to start with is the setup of the development environment, because you cannot do anything before you actually set your development environment right. Okay. So there are a lot information available from the Substrate team itself, and we are going to follow them along. And I'm also going to show you what else you can do later on. Okay. So let's start off my Chrome browser. And yeah, if you are a Firefox user, you may have some issues when you're running a node, when you're building a your own blockchain. Okay, so it's actually useful to switch over to maybe Chrome or Chromium, because there are certain security issues with Firefox that you should be aware of. Okay? Right. So let's go to our Substrate framework. Substrate.io is the site. I'll just put that up in the chat window as well for your reference. Okay, Substrate.io. Okay. Right. Also, before we go into this, if you see, if you look at Substrate, there is also one more site for something called as Substrate recipes, which you will find it very useful. And this diagram that you see here, okay, this is what Praveen was also mentioning last time. So you have a Substrate, the entire framework will actually look like this. So essentially you have the runtime, which is the application logic that is specific to the parachain that you're developing or the blockchain. Okay, so blockchain and parachain we're going to use interchangeable. Okay, So when you say parachain, or you can think of it as your own custom blockchain. Okay. So within this architecture, if you see here, you have this runtime part, which is written in Rust and built into both native and Wasm. Now, I would definitely like you to go through what Wasm is. Okay, basically it's a WebAssembly. Okay, so that's webassembly.org site, and go in there and look into what Wasm is all about. Or you can also look into the Mozilla's page, okay, on WebAssembly. You can look into this page. Also discuss about WebAssembly. Okay, so essentially, if you look at WebAssembly, it's actually a new type of code that can be run in modern web browsers. Think of it like what bytecode in JVM is. Okay, so what Firefox team, that is the Mozilla team, they have done is they have come up with a specification called WebAssembly, and slowly the browsers are moving towards that. So what happens is essentially you write, let's say, front end code, right? Let's say you have written some web application, and it's actually distributed as source code in JavaScript file format, right? So usually that is the case. With WebAssembly, what will happen is you can actually compile it down to a kind of a bytecode sort of a runtime environment, which can be directly translated to the native environment, regardless of the browser. So this actually gives you a tremendous amount of speed. So you don't have to actually rely on the JavaScript runtime environment to take the code and then interpret it and then run it and then interpret it, run it, interpret it, run it. So that cycle is actually broken. Okay. So now what happens is your entire application can be converted to what is called as WebAssembly. Which is, again, remember, WebAssembly, you can think of it like the bytecode on JVM. So you have WebAssembly is the assembly that is completely JavaScript runtime environment agnostic, and also it is browser agnostic. Okay, so that you get some sort of a bytecode which can directly be translated into whatever native platform on which your browser is actually running on. So that will give you tremendous amount of boost in terms of the speed and the performance of the web application. That's what WebAssembly is. So if you look at the overall Substrate ecosystem, what you'll find that the runtime is written in Rust, but it is actually built in both native and Wasm. However, the bottom part of it, where you have the fork choice, storage, consensus, transaction pooling, and all those, these are all what we mentioned last time as palettes. Okay, that part, and also the libp2p and JSON RPC. Okay, so these are all written in Rust, and they are already converted to the native code. That is, whatever is the target platform or the architecture, whether it is x86, 64, or it could be Apple's M1 or M2, or likewise. Okay, so they're based on the processors. They are already built into their native code. Now remember, out of this, so this runtime is what really the parachain is all about most of the time, because as far as the fork choice, storage, consensus, transaction pooling, and transaction management, and all those things, they are actually provided as palettes, which are already pre-built modules, which can be customized if you want to do so, right? That's one part. So this is completely written Rust and built into native. However, the other two parts is libp2p and the JSON RPC. The libp2p is a library for P2P communication, that is peer-to-peer communication library, which essentially allows the nodes in your blockchain to talk to each other. So for all the we call the nodes which make up your blockchain, okay, they have to have a communication protocol, and that is what libp2p actually implements. Okay, and JSON RPC is for the external applications to talk to the blockchain. So that is JSON remote procedure calls, which has become a kind of a standard these days. Okay, which exchanges data in the format in JSON format, so that the external application actually talks to the database. Like for instance, it can be a web-based UI or something of that sort. Okay, right. Now, what I'm going to do here, if you go to the developer section in the Substrate IO webpage, so go to the home, if you come down in here, you will find the complete documentation, very well written documentation. There are reference guides available, okay, and there are also tutorials available. And we are going to follow the first tutorial out of here. But I'll make your life easy by actually showing you exactly what happens when you actually set things up for yourself. Okay, so if you go to the tutorial section in here, okay, and here you have all the different things that this actually guides you through. That is working with getting started, working with palettes, developing smart contracts, connecting with other chains, and integration with tools, and so on and so forth. So if you go to the next and get started, so here you have to build a local blockchain. So it shows you how exactly to set it up. So once you are able to set the entire tool chain and then use it, after that everything is a cakewalk. Okay. So we'll be looking into this tutorial and following along, and I'm going to show you how all the tools and required stuff has to be installed and then actually made it. Now remember one thing: most of the installation instructions you will find is somewhere here. Okay. So before you begin, what you need: a good internet connection, access to shell terminal on your local computer, generally familiar with software development and user command line interfaces, generally familiar with blockchains and smart contract platforms. Okay, fine. Even if you know a little bit, that is good enough. Okay, and you have Rust installed because the entire framework is written in Rust. So therefore, if you want to do any tweaking around, you'll have to do that in Rust only. Okay, and then you have to set up your development environment as described in the install pages. So if you go to the install pages, let's go to them, and here it shows. So you have installation instructions for Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. Okay, but most of the times they recommend to use Linux or Mac OS and not Windows, even though it works. Okay, it works, right? So even though it's see if you see my system is running on Windows, but the truth is when I do all this development, I have a very clean system right now for you guys, so that you can see each and every step. Okay, all the way how all these things are actually installed and made use of. So there are two approaches. If you're on Windows, if you're on Linux or Mac OS, fine enough, you're good to go. But if you are on Windows, I just want to show you one thing. Okay, so Windows has recently, in a couple of years back, it has introduced what is called a WSL, the Windows Subsystem for Linux. That gives you a Linux environment on top of running within Windows itself. So you don't need to have any virtualization installed or any, like say, VirtualBox or VMware player or VMware workstation, anything of that sort, and you can still do that. And in fact, I can show you that also. So if you see, I can actually see here, I have Ubuntu already running on my Windows system installed, and I can run that. Now the question is how to do this. Okay, so that's one thing, because I see most of you would be having Windows-based machine, okay, or laptop. So I thought that probably this is a good idea to do that. In fact, even in these install instructions also, they actually recommend using WSL. Okay, setting up Windows subsystem for Linux. How do you do that? It's very simple. Click on your start button, look for PowerShell, and in the Windows PowerShell, you need to run it as administrator. Okay, run as administrator, and all you do is issue just one command, that is WSL --install. That's it. This is all you need to do. WSL --install. Okay, I'll just copy this and put it in the chat window. And maybe later, actually today I was pretty busy with some condolence and thing. I just came back home, had a shower, and then I sat down for the session. I didn't have time to collate all these together in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. I'll have it ready and share it with you guys in the next session on Friday. Okay, so you will have all these instructions with you, right? So this will install the Windows subsystem for Linux. This actually requires hypervisor to be enabled. Okay, so these are a couple of things that you must know, right? Okay, so this allows you to basically install this WSL and then you can start working with this. Okay, so once WSL is installed, guess what? You can go to the Microsoft Store and you can just pick whatever operating system you want. So let's say but again, remember, this is just for those who want to stay with Windows and then use that. So, however, what I am going to do is, let's say, search for Linux, and you will see Ubuntu app, Kali Linux app, Ubuntu 20.05 LTS. Okay, so all these apps are available. If you click on this Ubuntu app, okay, since it's already installed on my system, you can just click on Get, and once WSL is installed, you will be able to use Ubuntu within this, but you will get a terminal environment. You will not get a GUI. Okay. Well, I'm not a big GUI guy because I've been using Unix for over 30 years now, and I'm used to the terminal. Okay, all the time. So I feel pretty comfortable. But yeah, so if you're a completely GUI-based person, it will take you some amount of time to get used to it. It's not rocket science. It just requires more amount of typing. But then on the terminal, you get the entire power of Linux exposed to you, whereas the GUI actually abstracts out a lot of functionality within the operating system. Okay, so you can actually directly install Ubuntu in here. I already have it installed, so when I run this, you can see here I have this Ubuntu installed. I can just click on this. Okay, and I'm logged in. And guess what? I have a complete Linux operating system working. Right? This is one way. Right? The other way is that you can. So I'm going to just log out from here. I just wanted to show you that I can see. I can show you and I can use the VI editor. Okay, and see there's a VI editor there. Okay. And I can use Emacs or I can use the Nano editor. It's all there, right? So it's a full-fledged Linux operating system running on top of your Windows itself. You don't need separate dual boot or anything of that sort being set up. Okay, and I'm just going to log out and I'm out. The other way is I'm using VirtualBox and I have Ubuntu 18.04 in here as well. Okay, and I can use this. So here is my Ubuntu. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen there. So there is Ubuntu desktop there. Okay, instead of VirtualBox, right? Okay, so let me see the chat. Right. So we will do all the development in the Linux environment itself. Okay, so I'll be using the VirtualBox, and that makes it easy because I can actually use the GUI. In fact, in case if you want to do so, but with the WSL, you will not get GUI. You will only get the terminal interface there. And of course, there are some workarounds with GUI also. And I think right now Microsoft already has a press release saying that they are actually working on a GUI-based distribution be available. But but those workarounds, I have never tried them because generally, workarounds are never stable. But in my experience, so I like to do whatever is actually being supported by the operating system. Okay, right. So first things first. So now let's get down to setting things up. So the first thing we need to do is as soon as you have your what to say Linux installed and up and ready, the first thing I'm going to open up the terminal and I'll just increase the font size there so that is it comfortable to read, right? Is the text comfortable to read? Okay, thank you. Right. So the first thing you should do is update the packages. Okay, so you just say sudo apt update, and I'm also going to give -y so that it doesn't ask yes or no. Okay, so it will take yes as the answer. It will ask for the password. So this is going to update all the packages that we have. Okay, right. So these are all done. This is done. So I can just clear the screen. Okay. So now so this install is done. Okay. So let's go to Linux and see. So one is we have to install build essentials. Okay. Okay. So let me just put this in the chat window for your reference. Okay. This is for installing the prerequisite and the dev environment. Okay. So we need to install the build essentials. Okay. So you can just copy the command here and come back up here. Right. Sudo apt install build essential. So you see, since I did not give -y option, so it is asking, do you want to continue, yes or no? Now, if you see, it's a Unix standard or Linux standard. If you are new to this, whenever it asks for yes or no, you will see that Y is capital and N is small case, which means that whichever is capital, that is the default option. So even if you hit enter, it will take yes as the answer. Okay. Now, why build essentials are needed? Because this will give you all the make tools in order to build packages and compile the packages that we are going to install there. Okay, so you need build tools in order to do that. That's what this build essential does. So the build essential is done. Okay. Next, we have to, at a minimum, you need the following packages before you install Rust, because for Rust installation, we need the clang, curl, git, and make. Okay. So we'll just install git, clang, curl. Okay. And make. Okay. So build essential has already done that for us. So let's copy this command. And so just clear the screen and then paste it again. Sudo apt install -- assume yes means -y. Git, clang, curl, and libssl dev also. Okay, so let's do that. So this setup takes about max of half an hour, but again, remember you have to do that. Without that, we cannot proceed any further. Okay. So as you can see here, you need to have a decent internet connection so that it gets installed in reasonable amount of time. So you can see this is a brand new VM that I created only for you, so that we start from scratch, everything right from scratch. Okay. So while this is installing, we can keep our discussion going on. So once this is installed, what we need to do is that we use this. So click the tab title to see example, other Linux or for Debian, Arch Linux, okay, Fedora, OpenSUSE. And then follow this. Okay. Maybe we could have done this also. Okay. And this is for Debian, this is for Arch Linux, for Fedora, and for OpenSUSE. Okay. Okay. So let's still installing. Okay. Right. So okay, the Substrate website. Okay. So if you see in the technology part, okay, you can explore the technology there. Okay. In the developer side, and also you can discover the projects, okay, which are coming up, and so the use cases that they're coming up. So if you click on discover, you have the Substrate project, and these are all the projects: XLR networks, soft air gaps, and so on and so forth. You can actually take ideas from these for your hackathon, okay, because these projects actually give you an insight as to what different people in the industry are trying to achieve. Okay, so you could take one of these projects and develop it further and contribute to that, or you can take that idea and then implement it according to your use case. Okay, so all these projects, just have a look at them. Okay, you'll get an idea as to how we can put these to use. Like for instance, if I take Cumulus network. Okay, that's yeah. So see here, see engine. So it's a scalable, decentralized cross-chain network designed to bring non-fungible tokens (NFTs), okay, to everyone. So if you click on this, okay, is enterprise ready, building for building for Polkadot, smart contracts, and then whatever. So if you click on this link, it will take you to the engine website. Okay. And here you can see all the products, wallets, and the platform marketplace, and so on. Okay, all the different solutions. And if you go to the developers, there you will get all the documentation, how this is being done, what they are providing, and so on and so forth. Okay, and get additional info on this. Okay, right. So my installation is done. So I'll go back up here. So for Debian, I'll just install all this. So I'll just copy this. So if some packages are already installed, it will simply skip those packages and just install the remaining ones. Okay. If you are using CentOS, you will be using yum install, okay, and you will have a separate package naming convention over there. The packages might be different, okay? So you have to take that into account. Like for instance, if you go to Fedora, you'll be doing DNF install, and so these are all the packages. Okay? So sometimes packages might differ between distributions, so therefore you have to use the one which is compatible with yours. Okay. Okay. So this is done. Cool. So now the next thing we need to do, download the Rust up installation program and use it to install Rust by running the following commands. So okay. So that's it. So what to do is basically what it is doing is it is using curl to download the Rust binary here, and then passes this into the shell command, piping it into shell command. So that does all the installation for you. Okay. So stop it. here. So the protocol is HTTPS and TLS version is 1.2, and then you go this is actually the place from where the rust up .rs script is actually getting downloaded, and then it is passed into the shell bash. So let's see. Okay, so this path will be added. Okay, that's fine. So we actually want these paths to be added. Default host triple is so default tool chain is stable, profile is default, modify path variable, yes. So this is yes, we want that. And proceed with installation or customize install or cancel install. So I'll just proceed with the installation. So I'll just type 1 and enter, which is the default. It is actually downloading and installing these components. Okay. Won't take much time, about a couple of minutes maybe. Rust C that you see here is the Rust compiler. Okay, that's the Rust compiler. And Cargo is the package management tool, okay, or rather a build tool which allows you to create, Rust projects. Okay, so while that is going on, I would like to show you one interesting thing, because you see, since you have to work with Rust, and if you are not working with Rust, let me just. There is a channel called Let's Get Rusty. Okay, see, I'm already subscribed to this. This is a very nice, channel where you get everything about Rust right from the beginner, okay, to the advanced level. Okay, let's just Rusty. So this, I'll just copy this. You can go and subscribe to this. Let me put it in the chat window for you. Let's get Rusty. For learning Rust programming. Okay, take a note of that. Pretty cool, really nice. And this guy actually talks about and also builds upon what is called as, there is a site called as the Rust book. Okay, the Rust programming language is also known as the Rust book. Okay, so I'll put this also in chat window. Okay, use this link to basically learn the basics of Rust programming. But again, remember, just reading this is not enough. One of the important things is you have to actually do. Okay, it's also available in HTML format like this. Okay, so you can actually click on this and see the HTML format, and you can download it and use it. Okay, right. So Rust is installed. Okay, now the question is, to get started, you need to restart your current shell. So I'll have to close this shell, because any changes that you make to the environment variable within the current shell, they will not be exported. So I just open up another shell now. And let's say, okay, if I say Rust C -version, okay, so this is a Rust compiler version 1.6.0, 1.63.0, and also you need Cargo, which is the project management tool for this. Cargo -version and 1.63.0. So they're all the same version. Okay, right. So this part is done for us. Okay, right. So let's get back. So Rust up is also installed. Okay, So we have seen Rust C version. Now configure Rust toolchain to the default and the latest stable version by running the following command. So the Rust up default stable and then Rust up update. That's just in case you want this to be the latest and the greatest version. Okay, so then change. So that's already the latest one only. So therefore there's no changes there. Okay, and then add the nightly release and the nightly WebAssembly wasm targets to the development environment by running the following command. So okay, let's do that. Okay, so just copy this. Update nightly. Doesn't take much time. So while this is happening, for the WASM also. WASM. Okay, so this is done. Pretty cool. Okay, so verify the configuration of your development environment by running the following command. So rust up show. So let's see. Rust up show. Okay, what are the installed tool chains? What is the active tool chain? Okay, and which is the rust up home. Then we have the nightly build info also. So rust up plus nightly and then show. It will tell you all the nightly build info as well. Okay, so this is okay. Right. Now compile a substrate node. Okay. And then we can start building it. Okay. So this part is done. So the install part is done. So now let's build our local blockchain. Okay. So by the way, because we will be using our development environment, so we will also need an editor. Of course, VI editor is fine enough. I'm pretty good user of that, but you might probably find Visual Studio Code to be a much easier way of handling the projects and the source code and all for source code management. So not to mention, you also need to have Git also installed, which is already there. We already installed that. So we go to code.visualstudio.com. Okay, so I need to code.visualstudio.com. And it already gives me free built on open source, and you can have this Debian package. So I can simply download the Debian package. Okay. And open with software install. So okay, so this is okay. So it's getting downloaded. Now it is opening it up. Okay, and you can install it from here. So just click install, give a password. download and install Visual Studio Code or visualstudio.com. Already install that. Okay, and in the meantime, if you have any questions, please do ask. Okay, so this is done. There is another way. If you are using Ubuntu, what happens is Ubuntu, you have this Ubuntu software, and in here, then click on the search button and then type Visual Studio Code, and you can install the Visual Studio Code from here also. Okay. Right. So you could do that as well. Also, as I mentioned, because there are certain security restrictions in Firefox, so in Linux, what I tend to do is I use Chromium browser. Just look for Chromium, click on this, and just click install, and that should install Chromium web browser. Okay. Or you can also do it like this. So if you don't want to do the GUI way, and you're not having, and if you're using WSL, so you can come here and you can simply say sudo install, sudo apt install Chromium -browser. Okay. So yes, and that will get installed. So all these packages, you don't need to use these, the Ubuntu's, so-called the software marketplace, but instead you can simply install it right from your terminal itself. And once this is done, just type Chromium. Okay. Chromium browser, and there you go. Okay, it started. It's as simple as that. Close it. Okay. Don't worry about these. We can always go to the applications tab, and then here you can see the Chromium browser is installed. So you can just click on this and go to the Chromium browser, however you want it. Okay. Right. So our Visual Studio Code is also installed. We can actually check this out. Type this code and then hit enter, and that should open Visual Studio Code. Enter. Okay. Right. So now, since we are using Visual Studio Code, one thing you may need to do is this. Okay, and that is, if you see the Visual Studio Code on the left side, there is this extensions box in this. Okay. So click on extensions. Okay. Because we'll be using Rust programming, so what you can do is you can simply type Rust in there, and it will look for Rust extensions. Okay. Now the first one is Rust, which is from the Rust programming user, but this has been deprecated, so you can see it is actually grayed out. You can install if you want to do so. The next one is the Rust analyzer. Okay. So if you click on this, it talks about the Rust programming language. It has got a Rust programming language server built in. So just click on install. This is something that you might be needing. Okay. So it's now installing the Rust analyzer. Okay. Right. So it's installed. Also, for formatting the code, you might need another package called Prettier. Okay, it is basically a code formatter. Okay, so you can install that as well. So if you click on this install button, it will get installed. Lot of options for various languages. Okay. Okay. So right. So this part is done. So now we have installed Visual Studio Code as well. So everything is working fine. Okay. Right. So before I proceed further, any questions, please, so far? Any questions? Okay, so I take it as a no, so you can go ahead. So far so good. So everything is working just fine. Okay. Now, so right now I'm in my home directory. Okay. So in here is where I'm actually going to put up my my code for running the entire node, blockchain node. Okay, local and customized blockchain node. So to do that, okay, so see you have the you have installed Rust and set up your development environment. Okay, so everything is done. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you have to compile a substrate node. Okay, a node is nothing but, think of it as one machine out of a group of servers which is actually running your blockchain. Okay, now since blockchain is supposed to be distributed, which means that your entire blockchain is with multiple nodes, right? However, here we are going to basically develop a test node, okay, a single node blockchain. So basically there is just one local machine on which the entire blockchain is running. Okay, so you have a substrate node template which provides a working development environment so that you can start building on this on the substrate right away. So if you already compiled the node template on the local computer, you can skip this section and continue to start the local node. So first off, okay, to compile the substrate node template, open the terminal and then clone the node template repository. So this is what we have to do. So basically this is the repository which they have already provided to you. Okay, and we will be looking into the code in the next session where I will be explaining you the various moving parts within the whole node, how the blockchain is being actually created and how it is being managed, and we can actually create a set of servers and then we can run that. Okay, which looks very similar to a production environment. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is clone the node template repository. So we'll do that. Okay, so I'm doing a git clone of this repository. Okay, so that's done. So if I now look at this, you will see substrate node template directly created, right? And in fact, if you want to see this Git repository, you are welcome to do so. So you can just copy this and put it in the browser. There you go. This is your complete notice. And if you want to read upon this, you can read upon this from the README as well. Okay. Right. How to run, what to check. Okay. What is the template structure? Right. All these. And you can also run it in Docker. Okay. And so you will see that here you'll see a Docker compose YAML file also given. So if you want to run it under Docker, you can do that as well using the Docker compose file. Okay, you can do that as well. But there is one little caveat that you should be aware of. Okay, see, I'm using VirtualBox, or you may be using VMware Workstation or VM Player, right? They use the hypervisor, whereas Docker is not compatible with hypervisor. So you can either use Docker or you can use this virtualization with hypervisor, not both at the same time. It will not work. Okay, so this is something that you have to keep in mind. Those of you who want to get into Docker based blockchain development, and in that case you have to be aware of this fact. Okay, so that's a caveat that you have to keep in mind, right? Okay, so this part is actually done. Okay, so we have cloned it. Okay, so next what we need to do, next thing we need to do is we need to check out a branch. Okay, so first thing, change to the root of the node template directory, and then you need to check out the Polkadot v0.9.28 branch by running the following command. Okay, so we need to go into this directory, so we'll just cd into that directory. Okay, so cd substrate node template. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to check out the Polkadot. Okay, version there. I'll just copy this, come back up here. Okay. Okay, not technical about it. You can look around, make experimental changes with commit, and then oh, that's fine. That is now this, right? Oh, okay. So the next thing is to compile the node template by running the following. So basically, we are going to build, okay, for the release. So -- release flag will allow you to build optimized artifacts. Otherwise, it will add all the debug symbols. Okay, by default, this will become -- debug, and what it will do is it will add debug symbols into your build. So the code will be bloated and it will run actually slow. Okay, so we do a cargo build of for release, and so we come back up here. This. Now this will take quite some time. Okay. So while this is running, I can open up another terminal window. It will take quite some time. Okay. And then here, we node substrate node template, and in here I'll just say code dot. Okay. So basically, what it is doing, it is actually getting all the differences. Okay. And now what it will do is it will the cargo will actually essentially download all the dependencies. Okay. So it's actually now fetching all the dependencies. So while that is going on, we can still look into the code there. Say code dot inside the node. Okay. Okay. So a lot of error messages you might see here. Okay. That's because the dependencies are still getting installed. Go back up here. As you can see. So it says it is downloading so many crates. So basically, what crates are? Crates are actually nothing but collection of packages. Okay, Rust calls these as crates. Okay, and inside that all the code is put up. Now you can imagine, say, if you look at the Paradies Substrate framework, they have put in so much of effort. So obviously, the code base is pretty huge. Okay, but again, remember, you as a developer, as I mentioned day before yesterday, so you can always take a top-down approach. Okay, right? Which would mean that you start with something, some starting point, and then try to connect the dots. Okay, now you don't have to be an expert Rust programmer to start with it. Okay, so I'm assuming that you don't know Rust, and we still are able to build our first blockchain. Okay, and then run it, and then work with that. And then later in the next session, what I'll show you is that how you can customize it, and you can add additional features and stuff like that, and what features you can add, what is available out of the box. Okay, how you can customize it. So in order to get help with that, as I mentioned, just go through that Let's Just Rusty YouTube channel. I think that playlist has, let me just go to that also and show you here. That playlist has probably around, look at the playlist. Okay. So the Rust Lang book, this one, I think it's got 44 videos in there. They're not too lengthy as such, and the explanation is pretty good. Sometimes a little bit fast, but yeah. But again, remember, whatever is being taught over there, please do practice. Again, remember, it is not rocket science. You can very easily do all of that. Okay, you can do that. If you have your development environment set up, it's a cakewalk. Okay, but of course, yes, this guy explains a lot of things in terms of the conceptual ideas and stuff like that. Okay, but in case if you're not that comfortable, you can always come to the Rust programming language book. Okay, you can see the common programming concepts in there, like installation right from the Hello World program. Okay, right from the Hello World program. And if you want, I can actually show you a Hello World program, okay, built and running, and all about common programming concepts like the variables and mutability. Okay, then you have data types, functions, how you write functions. Okay, how to pass parameters, right? And what are statements and expressions, and all these things. Now when you try to start learning Rust, couple of pointers I want to give you. Okay, just while this installation is going on, we can still discuss upon that. It's going to take quite a while. Okay, right. So also we can always discuss upon Rust programming as such. Okay, and I can actually show you the same. A couple of very important things. Okay, and that is, if you're coming from any programming background, it will be very easy for you to follow along. You have what the variables are set, and then the mutability, the data types. Okay, so you have the signed and unsigned integers, and the data types are like this: I8, I16, I32. These are signed integers, and 32, 64, 128 is the number of bits. Similarly, for unsigned, it is U8, U16, U32, and so on. And any architecture dependent, like say it could be an ARM processor or something like that, then you use I size and U size. I size is signed integer, and U size is unsigned integer. Okay. And then integer literals in Rust, you can also have decimals. You have hexadecimals with 0x, and octal you use 0O. You can write binary string 0B and then follow with that, and you can also have U8 bytes only. So just prefix any character with B and the character in quotes, and you get a byte. That's equivalent of that. Then there is this Boolean type. so true and false. Okay. Then you have the floating types. So you have F32 and F64. There are only two floating types. F32 is the 32-bit floating point number, and F64 is the 64-bit floating point number. Okay. And again, if you want to read more how floating points are internally utilized, you can always look into this thing. IEEE 754 standard. Okay, this is how the floats are actually internally represented. It is a worldwide standard which is used by just about every platform and architecture. Okay. Then what are the various operations you can do? The Boolean type, you have the character type, okay, and then you have the compound type. Now you might be thinking, you have characters, the char or char, however you want to pronounce it, after all it's a noun. Okay, yeah, it contains only one single character, okay, which includes, and these characters are Unicode characters, which means that I can actually have emoji characters as well. But strings are a different beast altogether in Rust. Okay, so you have this encoded text thing, so you can look into that. Then you have the tuple type, where you have values of different types and put as a collection of values. Okay, you have arrays. Okay, there is an array type, and you have data types, and then followed by functions. Okay, how you write functions, how you pass parameters, pass by reference, pass by value, and all those things. Then comments, and then of course, importantly, control flow. Control flow, you have this if expressions. Okay, followed by just like other languages. Okay, there's nothing esoteric about it. Okay, the only thing is, like you use in C, C++, Java, or C#. Okay, you don't have to put a parenthesis surrounding this, the condition that you write in an if statement. Okay. Then you have handling multiple conditions with else if, like this. Okay. You can also have if in a let statement. So when you're creating a variable, you can say let number equal to if condition and then 5 else 6. So if this condition is true, then you'll get 5 as the value and it will be stored in number. If the condition is false, then in that case 6 will be stored in the number. Okay. This is like a conditional operator that you see in C, C++, Java, C# and all. Okay, it's equivalent to that, right? Okay. Then loops. So the fundamental loop is just a loop statement. So loop, and then you write some statement within the curly braces, and this is an infinite loop. It will keep going on and on and on. Okay. So you'll have to stop it with Control C. So this is an infinite loop. Obviously, at some point in time, you need to break the loop. So you would use it in conjunction with some break statement. Okay. And then you can also return values from the loop. Okay. Then loop labels to disambiguate between multiple loops. So you can use. Then you have condition loops with while. So this is a typical while loop. We are all familiar with that from C and C++. Okay. You also have looping through collection with for. So you can say for, and then say for element in collection, and then you do whatever you want. So within this loop, the element will take up one item after the other from the collection. Is something that we see in other languages as well. You also have ranges. So you can also create a range 1 to 4. So it will generate values 1, 2, 3, not 4, because in a range, the final value is always exclusive. So these are all the control flows that statements that you could use. But very importantly, you have to understand the whole concept of ownership. So understanding ownership, this is a section that you should really, really understand, because the way Rust behaves in many scenarios is completely different from what you would have seen. Okay. So what ownership is, and references, and then the borrowing type and the slice type and all. Okay. So this part I want you to read through. Okay. Read through. Okay. So let me just tell you what this whole thing is about. Okay. So if you take the, let's say, this have let s string from, and then I give hello, right? Now, if you want to make changes to the string, or for that matter, any variable, actually in Rust, something that very different from other languages, that a variable is actually immutable. Okay, it is actually immutable, which means that if you take a variable and then assign it a value, after that, once you try to reassign the value, it will not accept, okay, because variables are treated as immutable. Now you might be thinking, why would somebody call a variable as immutable? See, the thing is, when something is immutable, what happens is runtime optimizations can be performed. So this makes Rust code run faster. So by default, any variable that you create is actually immutable. You cannot change it. Once you have assigned a value, you cannot change it. Okay. But if you want the value to change, so then in that case, you have to use the mute keyword, that is mutable keyword. So instead of saying let s is string from hello, you will say let mutable s and then mute, so that later on you can actually make changes to the string by pushing some other string. Okay. Right? Okay. Now, this is something which is very different in Rust language from compared to any other language. So basically, suppose if I create a string s1, say string dot from hello, and then I take and I say let s2 is s1. If you look at it from a C++, Java, C# standpoint, what will happen is basically you are creating a shallow copy of the original string s1, right? But in here, Rust uses what is called as the move semantics. So if I take s1 and assign to s2, you know what will happen? s2 will start pointing to the string, and s1 will no longer point to the string. So basically, the string, when you're assigning s1 to s2, whatever string is there in s1, that will actually now start getting pointed by s2, and s1 will basically, the ownership will move from s1 to s2. Okay, so this is your s1. Okay, after this, okay, so when you assign this, the string get is copied, meaning we copy the pointer, the length and the capacity on the stack. We do not copy the data on the heap. Okay, and then later what happens is basically here. So if I take this thing, see, so if I take this string hello and then assign it to s2, then I try to print s1, you'll get a compile time error. It says, hey, this value was borrowed here after the move. So this is where things are pretty different in Rust, which you should be aware of when you're working with the Rust programming language. Okay, I specifically wanted to discuss this because if you're new to Rust, okay, so anyway, the existing knowledge that you have from whatever programming language that you're used to is still applicable. But again, remember that there are some intricacies in the Rust language which are very different from traditional programming languages. Okay, so when you're having references, Rust by default uses what is called as move semantics. So the ownership is changing. Okay, so this is the object in memory, and right now at this point in time, S1 is the owner. And then basically what you're trying to do when you're doing let S2 is assigned S1 is that you are saying, hey, take the ownership from me to you. And so S1 will no longer be defined. So its value has already been borrowed by the other entity. Okay, so this is something that you have to keep in mind. Very careful, very careful. Okay, because initially you will get frustrated with Rust if you don't know that this sort of borrowing is happening, and you know what to say, move semantics are being used underneath. See, I told you it takes quite some time. Now, don't worry about this. Spend some time on this because this build will be time consuming only for the first time. Next time onwards, what will happen is the build will all be incremental. So whatever has been built, it will not rebuild it again, right? So this time consuming part will only happen for the first build. I think we are nearing close by, so it has already built 812 packages of 962 credits. Okay. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So as you can see, now it is implementing all the compiling all the libp2p packages. So libp2p is the peer-to-peer communication channels that are being used, or the protocol that's being used by the nodes within your blockchain, and they implement what is called as the gossip protocol. Okay, so the protocol is called as the gossip protocol that allows these nodes to talk to each other. Okay. So I'm not seeing any questions from you guys. Any questions, please? Any questions regarding the development environment setup? Do we need to learn MERN stack for this? No, Nitin, not necessary. Okay, not at all. The truth is, see, right now I'm showing you both the backend, that is the actual blockchain, as well as the front end. The front end is actually a React application, okay, which we will see. However, you don't really need to learn MERN stack in order to work with this, because ultimately your job is not to build the UIs, but basically to build the blockchain and its network itself. Okay. We can able to do using Node.js. Arvind, what do you actually mean? I didn't get your point actually. We can able to do using Node.js. What are you trying to say? See, the front end, application that is already given to us, front end template, that is actually a React application. Okay, for Rust you don't need Node.js. Okay, for Rust you do not need Node.js at all. So don't worry about that, Arvind. Okay. Rust is a completely independent language. It has nothing to do with your JavaScript runtime like what you have as Node. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. You can simply start working with Rust as is. All you need to do is just install the Rust tool, have a what to say, an editor, okay, through which you can edit these files, and you will be good to go. Okay, Arun? Any other question, please? So again, remember, you just need to be patient when you're building this first time. After that, it's a cakewalk. It was just fine because all the builds will be incremental. They'll run very, very fast. Okay. All right. Okay. So while this is going on, so as I mentioned, as far as Rust is concerned, you can. There are a lot of things to learn, but first thing what I would like you to learn is all about the ownership. Okay. Followed by structures. Of course, that's easy. Okay. Then you have this match control flow construct. Okay. What this match construct is all about. Okay. And how you can put this to use. So this is something that you have to understand. Then, of course, yes, packages, crates, and modules. So, but importantly, read upon common collections. Okay, wherein you have vectors and then associated hash maps and so on and so forth. So you have a vector, you have a string, and you have a hash map. So these three, common collections that are actually used. Okay, so do read upon that. And importantly, when you look at the substrate code, okay, you'll find a lot of things which are called as traits. Okay, so let me. So remote containers extension is recommended for this repository. So yes, okay, I'll just install this. So it is installing that right now. So while that installation is going on, check. Nine hundred one of 962. Hopefully it should finish up now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. As you can see here, these are all the complete. This is the complete node. Okay. So you have important things you have to consider is the node and then the palettes, the runtime. Okay. There are three very important things. Okay. So if you open up the node, you have here is the build file. Okay. And this is your cargo. Sorry. Okay. This is like your package JSON in your front end code. Okay. This tells what are the features. Okay. And all those things. Then here in the SRC, you'll find all these. So main RS is the main entry point. Okay. And libRS is where all the packages are there. what are modules are there? Chain spec, RPC, and server. So here it is the chain spec, the chain specification. Now, important thing when you see here is that almost everywhere you will find traits being used. Okay, so you can see use SP runtime traits, right? So traits are heavily used. So this is something that you will need to understand about Rust language. Okay, again, it is not very difficult. Basically, a trait simply means that you have two different data types but have some common functionality. Those are called as traits. So essentially, it is again another kind of an abstraction which is similar to that of an interface in Java. Okay, so you can have two different, completely disparate classes implementing the same interface, but the implementation is totally different based upon the class, right? So just like that, you have the traits in Rust, which are very similar to that. So essentially, whenever you have cross-cutting, functionality across two disparate classes, you can combine them together into one single interface. Okay, using traits. So that's what really traits are. Okay, and if you find that what I'm saying is you can't actually follow along, let me just show you that as well. Okay, so that it becomes easy for you to understand. Okay. So here, so you have the generate types, traits, and lifetime part in the book. Okay. So we will directly go into traits, defining shared behavior. This part definitely is a read that is needed. Okay. So what exactly is a trait? It defines functionality a particular type has and can share that with other types. We can use traits to define shared behavior in an abstract way, and we can use trait bounds to specify that a generic type can be any type that has a certain behavior. So as I mentioned, the traits are similar to a feature called interfaces in other languages, although with some differences. Okay, so they're very similar to interfaces. Okay, so like for instance, they have this a trait defined called summary. Okay, and this has got a function called summarize, and it returns a string. Now this is you just have the function declaration. There is no definition, function definition. Okay, you don't provide a method body to it, and then the implementing the type will actually do it. So say for instance, so I have this summary trait. Okay, which has the summarize method. So any type that implements this summary type will have to implement this method. It's just like implementing a method in an interface by the implementing class. So suppose you have this news article which has got headline, location, author, and content. Okay, this is a structure, and then you implement a trait. So the implement, so using the IMPL implement keyword. Okay, IMPL, then the trait name for which data type, that is the news article. This is just like saying news article implements summary. It's similar to that. Okay, and then since you have the summarize function defined in the trait, so you will have to basically provide a definition or implementation to this function. That's how traits actually work. So similarly, so what this is doing, this is actually displaying the headline, author, and the location for a news article. And the other structure is tweet, which has got username, content, reply, and retweet. Whether it is whether this tweet is a reply to some tweet or whether it is a retweet of an existing tweet. Okay, and here the summary actually displays the or gives you the output as the username and the content. Okay, so the summary has got the function summarize, but their implementation is different for different types. This is what really a trait is. Okay, so when you want to pass configurations across to the entire system, traits are a way to do that. Okay, traits are a way to do that. So now let's get that up here and say, I think it has reached 950 of 962. Oh, good. as I mentioned, it does take quite some time. Okay, anyway, so this for this. So traits is something that you have to understand. So similarly, as you can see, now that the library has implemented summary trait on news article and tweet, okay, users of the trait can call the trait methods on the instance of news article and tweet in the same way as we call regular methods. The only difference is that the user must bring the trait into scope as well as the types. So what you do is you use aggregators to support. Here is an example of how to create binary trait. How a binary trait could use our aggregator or library trait. So aggregator is a library, and inside that you have the summary and then the tweet. Then you can start with. And you can also have default implementation for the trait methods, okay, which interfaces don't provide you with in Java or C# and all. The interfaces you can't have a default implementation, whereas here in Rust you can have the default implementation. Okay. You can pass traits as parameters, okay, and there is something called a trait bound syntax. Whenever you are using traits with generics, then when you say that okay, my trait for a generic type defines these functions, but at the same time there is one specific type for which you want to have a concrete implementation, then that's called as the trait boundary. So you can use that as well. Okay, so just read through this. So as I mentioned, one important thing that you need to read is what is the ownership. Rest everything is very clear. I mean, variables, data types, functions, comments, control flows, and all something that we are already used to from other languages. What differentiates Rust from other languages is this part. You have this ownership. Then, as I mentioned, you can have pattern matching. You have the match control flow construct. Then you have the traits. Okay. Then a couple of other things that I wanted to show you. The smart pointers. Okay, you can leave this. You can read it up later. But here I wanted to show you closure. Closure. There in chapter 13, closure. Anonymous functions that capture their environment. Okay. This is something again I would like that you go through this. It's very important. Okay. Because it's actually even if you're coming from JavaScript background, also there's a lot of confusion surrounding the closures. Okay. The closures are your friends. Okay. But many seasoned programmers, they have difficulty in understanding and making use of closures. Okay, so please do read upon the closures. So once this is done, you should be on the path to understanding Rust very easily. And of course, the last part where you discuss this advanced features in the advanced traits and types, advanced functions and closures. Please do have a read upon this. Also, there is something called the macros. Let's see. Rust uses a lot of macros in there. Okay. See, even the print line is actually a macro. Macro is identified by some name followed by this exclamation symbol. Okay. So how to create macros? What are the different macros and functions? Okay. Essentially, macros go into something called as meta programming. And if you've not heard about this terminology, okay, meta programming means this is a mechanism by which a piece of code generates another piece of code. So basically, a program generating another program, kind of a thing. Okay, right? That's what really meta programming really means, right? So macros are a way of writing code that writes other code, which is known as metaprogramming, right? So how to write macros and how they expand and how they build other code and all this you can see in here. Okay, and why I'm asking you to do this is because our Rust code that we use for building our chains. Okay, they are littered with a lot of custom built-in, custom macros. The programming language, the Rust programming language itself gives you a lot of, what to say, macros, and on top of it, the Substrate team has also built a lot of macros themselves. So let me just show you some of the macros that they have defined. See, these are macro definitions. The one with hash and then followed by derive. Let's see the runtime. Yes, that's it. There are a lot of macros in here also. Let me show you here from the recipe. Hopefully it gets over in another 5 minutes. Okay, so anything that starts with a hash and then followed by this, these are all macros. Okay, you can define these as macros. Decal storage is again a macro. Inside that macro, there is a trait. The trait contains a function, simple map get, like this. Okay, so in fact, a lot of macros are there. Okay, which have been defined. And if you want to know more about these, you can see all these are clickable links. Like for instance, hash map. Click on this, it will take you to the Rust language. Okay, regarding the hash map, and you'll see some example code, and you can utilize that. Similarly, let's say if I go to configurable constants also, here also I have decal storage. Okay, that is declare the storage and so on. Finish 960 of 962. Okay, and I think in the substrate you do have playground also. You can set up a cloud sandbox. Okay, and then you can use that. So, for instance, for a node template, skeleton blockchain with essential capabilities, and you have the front-end template. So you can launch these playgrounds. So I'll launch this. Please review terms and conditions before continuing. Okay, show the terms. Go all the way down, and we have to accept that. You must log in to use the playground. I haven't created this. Let's just log in. Sign into GitHub to continue to. Okay, so I'll have to use. Software playground. So just separate. That is deploying the image. So basically, you are getting this inside of the cloud. So I can also launch the front-end template playground. Something you can have only one active substrate. Oh, okay. Fine. Taking quite some time here as well. Because I tried it earlier as well, and it was taking quite some time. Okay. So meanwhile, I'm open for any suggestions and questions, please. We can go ahead. If you have any questions, you're most welcome. If you have any questions related to the development environment setup, you can ask me that. I can help you with that. It is still deploying that image. So it takes quite some time. Okay. So, so as I mentioned, what you can do is first, just take a basic look. So we'll let this build. Okay, I'll keep this build going on. So once it is finished, in the next session I can show you all these various moving parts of it. But again, remember the organization of the code there. So either you can see it here, or you can go to the GitHub page. Okay. GitHub repo, and you can have a basic read through. Again, this is very similar to the one that we already saw. Okay. Then once the build is done, then we have to run the cargo run command, which will launch the temporary node. Okay, so that's all we are left with to do. And in the next session, I will show you the front end part of it. So let me just show that as well. Node template and node front end template. So there is a public template available there. Okay. So you just clone that and then do a yarn install to install that. Yeah, for this you would obviously need node to be installed. Once node is installed, you install yarn, and because it uses yarn as the package manager, not the npm by default. So you can use yarn, and then you can just start the process. But again, this the front end, once you launch, it will actually look for a blockchain node running. So if it is not running, your front end will not work. Okay, so that's why we have to ensure that this thing is completed. So it's actually it is still running on the last but penultimate package. So let it do it. So once this is done, so basically once you are done with this, you just run the front end code. You have to first run this blockchain, and then you can run the front end code. Okay, and in the next session I will show you exactly how to interact with them. I will also show you what customizations you can possibly do, right? So again, remember, meanwhile you can start reading, you can look into the let's just get Rusty YouTube channel, learn some amount of Rust, because that will actually help you in playing around with that code. Okay, getting the blockchain up and running and the UI also up and running and being able to interact is one thing. Next thing is the customization. So that is where you should be able to write some amount of Rust code. Not big deal. It's very similar to a lot of things are very similar to JavaScript and C or C++, Java and C#. Many of the syntax elements are exactly the same, so you will not have any difficulty with that. Okay. However, the intricate stuff that I told you about, like say traits and then the ownership. Okay, so these are the things that you should read upon, so that you don't make mistakes which generally novice people tend to make when they start working with us. Okay. I guess it's still running. Yeah, this is going to take some time. Okay, so on Saturday I will have this all ready for you, and I will also show you the code and how we can work with that code, how we can customize it, and stuff like that. Okay, so meanwhile, do have a look into the Rust programming language, because that will go a long way in building these things. Okay, right. So before I close, if there are any closing questions, so I'm going to stop the share for now, but I'll keep this running so that I'm not going to shut it down, so that it keeps running, and on Saturday we can actually, sorry, Friday we can look into this. So if there are any questions, please. Do we have any alternative for Substrate? Nitin, very good question. Alternative in what form? See, this is what you have to think. So the way Substrate is built, okay, which is what actually led to the whole Polkadot ecosystem itself. Okay, if you're only looking at cross-chain, communication, you have solutions like Cosmos and other things. Okay, it's not like these are not available. What Substrate brings to the table is a framework to build your own, blockchain, and there is no such framework as of now. There's the one and the only which does it in a very generic fashion so that it can be customized. It's very modular and highly customizable. No other framework does it like this. So this is the framework when you want to build your own parachain, and then finally, hook it up with the Polkadot ecosystem in the form of connecting to the relay chain with validators and collators and stuff like that. So this is the only solution so far. So Nitin, does that answer your question? Yeah. Are there any more questions, please? Oh, guess what? So it has actually finished finally. Anyway, so for the front end part, and so that thing I will show you immediately as in the next session. So meanwhile, just have a read upon the Rust programming language. As you can see, this has finished. Running it will take some time. So see, almost it took an hour. Okay, it took an hour, right? So follow these steps, build it up, and keep it ready. And in the next session, we can actually work with this. Okay, I'm very new to Rust, so based on the R language, what are the jobs are available in IT industry? Okay, right. Srikonda, Radhika. Okay, so I think probably. Okay, so Deepak, would you like to take this question?
I think, sir, you would be a much appropriate person to take that up. But
Okay.
Where I am, I'm at a very basic level. So please,
Yeah.
I would appreciate if you can take it up.
Right. So Radhika, as such, you cannot break into the industry with Rust programming as of now, because Rust is in its adoption stage, and so whenever a new language comes up, it takes quite some time for it to mature enough so that a large number of projects keep running, and then there is a sudden spurt in demand for any programming language. As of now for Rust, purely with Rust programming, you cannot get into that industry. I'm actually sorry to say that, but this is the ground reality. But yes, if you are working on the Polkadot ecosystem, there is going to be a lot of jobs. They will need Rust programmers because the entire framework has been built from the ground up in Rust only. But Rust as such, if you see, for instance, if you compare it with, let's say, Java, you have a whole plethora of domains of applications which are being developed. Rust has not reached that level, but yes, this has become and also you have to understand something. Rust is more of a system side language rather than an application building language. So it's like, thinking of Rust, people are saying that this is something that is going to be equivalent to C, C++ for writing system software. It's actually a low-level language. So essentially, this will be more geared towards system software development rather than application development. Not that you cannot do that, okay, but then it will take quite some time. But yeah, with Rust, working in Polkadot, of course, you do have a lot of options on there. So Radhika, does that answer your question? As far as our language is concerned, Radhika, purely, this is geared towards scientific computing. So data science applications they use R extensively along with Python. So yeah, if you are getting into the data science domain, definitely R will be a feather in your cap. Any other question, please?
Okay, you can drop questions in the chat box here. Yeah.
So guys, in the next session, when I show you the blockchain and the front end and customization, please, whatever we did today in the form of setting up the entire dev environment, please do that on your local machine, okay? So that you can actually follow along with me when you do it with me, and you find any difficulty or any challenges, we can look into those, and then we can sort them out, and I can teach you additional stuff. So I think Deepak, we can close for today then.
Yes, I think yes, we are good to go here. So, anything else you would like to add, Selva, before we sign off today?
Yeah, so you saw that this whole build process takes its own sweet time. So please do it, keep it ready, so that in the next session when we do, it can be more hands-on, where you can do parallelly with me and learn stuff. Okay?
Okay, so guys, make sure you do that, and thank you so much, Selva, for a very insightful session. It was interesting. I'm pretty sure our audience had a very hands-on experience with Substrate today. So the way you explained Polkadot systems, even me for a fact, I've been following this space for a while, and the element of surprise when I only knew about Bitcoin and found out about Ethereum. This is something similar going on here. When I keep learning more about Polkadot, it doesn't fail to surprise at all.
Yeah, true.
So
absolutely.
it's that same excitement when I found Ethereum for the first time and the functionality. So when I learn about Polkadot, and my mind is blown at the same time. So
Absolutely.
so thank you so much. We will be meeting again on Friday, and as Selva has mentioned, please make sure you guys also get more hands-on with whatever we have learned in the past 2 days. So which will be very helpful on the last day of the workshop. And before we sign off, just a quick word. As I have mentioned, we have 4 hackathons lined up. We have mentioned this before, which is leading up to our main conference in January. So if you guys are familiar with Discord now, Deepak has given a good explanation to us. So I'm pretty sure we are good on the Discord part. And for that, we promise an exciting environment, top line mentors, and judging panel. So I'll be sharing the link again for the Discord link, and you can register for the hackathons. I'll be sharing the link for the same in the chat box, and I'll also share the link for the social media website. So make sure you follow us there. You can stay updated.
So okay, guys. So any last
yes.
any
So
more questions?
Selva, you were saying something?
Yeah. Any more questions before we sign off for today?
No, I don't see
Okay.
any. I think that will be all from us. We are running out of time too. It is past 8. So the links are here, and looking forward to see you guys on Friday again. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your patience. See you on Friday. Bye bye.